Friends, before starting today's horror story, I would like to tell you a very interesting stat. 80% of our viewers who watch our stories haven't subscribed to our channel. And if you are one of them, you have to do a small task where you have to click to the subscribe button and also press the bell icon so that you are the first to get the notification as soon as our video arrives. Bakechochin. We have always heard from most people that whenever a difficulty arises, God shows some way or sends some support. But what if that only support you have takes your life? This story is of 25-year-old Samuel, who was transferred from America to Tokyo. Samuel was a very cheerful guy. His house was on the outskirts of a forest near Tokyo City, and he used to like that place very much. Like every other night, he was walking back to his home from the bus stop. Every night, he used to pick up his dinner from a noodle bar, and following the same routine on that night too. He was going to pick up his dinner from the noodle bar and was just at the end of the street when he heard the crying of Mr. Tanaka, who was the owner of the noodle bar. He was about to go towards him when he saw a man wearing a skeleton print cloth on his face, pointing a revolver at Mr. Tanaka's forehead and threatening to kill him. When Samuel took out his phone to call the police, he heard a gunshot, and out of fear, his phone fell and broke. Samuel wasted no time in hiding himself. While hiding, when he looked towards Mr. Tanaka, he saw his dead body lying on the ground, and the man wearing the mask was stealing the money from his counter. Samuel was scared and tried running away from the scene, but unfortunately, his foot collided with a trash can and fell. The masked man, who was now running from the shop and had unmasked himself, heard the sound and turned towards Samuel. Samuel and the man looked at each other for a moment. Then, the man suddenly started running toward him. Samuel's heart began to race. He knew he could not let the man follow him home, so he ran into the deep forest. The trees were tall and dark, and the ground was rough, but he kept running as fast as he could. Soon he found an old, broken house in the middle of the forest. The windows were shattered, and the walls were cracked. Without thinking, Samuel ran inside and hid behind a broken window. He peeked outside and saw the man coming closer. His hands started shaking. Samuel knew he had to hide better. He quickly ran to the last room of the house and shut the door. He held his breath as he heard the front door open. Then, the sound of slow footsteps filled the house. The man was coming closer and closer. Samuel felt trapped. He thought he would end up just like Mr. Tanaka. Then suddenly, the loud sound of police sirens filled the air. The murderer stopped. He looked around, scared. After a few seconds, he turned and ran away. Samuel stayed hidden for a while. His heart was still beating fast. Then, after gathering some courage, he slowly opened the door and stepped outside. He had escaped for now. By then, the police van had also left. He took out the matchbox from his pocket and lit up the last matchstick left in the matchbox to find a way out of that house. The light of the matchstick was very low, so he burned up the whole matchbox to find a way. And then he saw an old white paper lantern in that last room. He picked up the lantern and lit it. As soon as it was lit, the trees in the forest started shaking violently, and it seemed that there was a storm outside. Wolves, hyenas, and monkeys started screaming inside the jungle, and suddenly the window of the house busted out loud and broke into pieces. As Samuel was trying to understand everything, he saw that a shadow had started forming on the yellow light of the lantern that was falling on the wall in front of him. The shadow was not of Samuel, but of a woman who eventually started coming towards him. Samuel started having a feeling that the house was haunted. He ran away from the house and started finding a way to his house using that lantern. But because he was new to that place, had lost his way, and had come very deep into the forest. Samuel was very tired of walking, but was not able to get out of that forest. He saw a tree nearby, So he sat leaning against the tree and placed the paper lantern on the ground. He closed his eyes, but after some time, he started having a feeling as if someone was clasping his whole body. As Samuel opened his eyes, he saw that amidst the yellow light, two hands were coming out of the paper lantern that were grasping his body slowly. The hands looked rotten and had some cuts on them. Samuel somehow tried to free his body from those hands, while the hands and arms were still trying to grasp him tightly. And then while struggling, he caught hold of a very big wooden piece and somehow managed to free himself from those hands and, without thinking twice, threw it towards the paper lantern to extinguish it. Samuel also crushed the paper lantern using his legs because it was clear that everything that was happening was because of the paper lantern. As soon as he crushed the paper lantern, there was a strange silence in the forest with dense darkness. Samuel wasn't able to see anything in that darkness, and then suddenly, the paper lantern lit up again, and the yellow light from the lantern started coming into Samuel's eyes. Samuel noticed that the lantern now had a face and a pointed tongue, and the pointed tongue grasped Samuel's leg before he could do anything, and the same hands with several wounds on them came out of the paper lantern. Within no time, a scary woman started coming out of that paper lantern. Samuel started trembling as soon as he saw the woman. The woman had rotten wounds all over her body and was looking at Samuel with enraged eyes. Blood was seen dripping out from both of her eyes, and a lot of cockroaches and insects from her long hair. The woman slowly started crying and started coming towards Samuel, and as she came very close to his face, she screamed very hard and attacked him. The next day, two policemen who were investigating the murder of Mr. Tanaka came inside the forest to investigate the footprints. But what they saw was the dead body of Samuel lying on the ground. Samuel's body had deep knife marks all over, and while looking around, they saw the same white-colored lantern. Looking at Samuel's condition and the paper lantern lying there, they realized that the reason for Samuel's death was none other than Bakechochin. Bakechochin, also known as Chochin Bak, is a ghost from Japanese legends. It is said to be the spirit of a person who died with anger or hatred in their heart. After death, their soul does not rest. Instead, it stays inside a paper lantern. This haunted lantern is not normal. It sometimes has a long tongue and even two eyes. People believe that if someone lights this lantern, the ghost inside will never let them escape. The person who lights it will not survive. Because of this scary story, many people in Japan fear paper lanterns. Some even start shaking when they see one, afraid that a Bakechochin might be inside. This legend has been told for many years, making people careful around old lanterns. Even today, many avoid lighting unknown lanterns, especially in dark and quiet places. The thought of a ghost hiding inside is enough to send chills down their spine. Friends, do tell us what you think about this urban legend in the comments section. If you like the story, then do subscribe to our channel, Bloody Monday, and keep watching for more such spine-chilling horror videos. Please do share the videos with your friends and family so that we could get motivation for uploading more of such spooky videos. Don't forget to turn on the notification bell so you never miss out on any of our eerie, heart-pounding videos. Keep watching and stay brave.